Hi and welcome. In today's video we are going to see how we can protect our Spring Boot API with OAuth2. In other words, how we can make our Spring Boot API a resource server under the OAuth2 context. I know it looks like it is something complicated, but I promise you it is really simple to do. Okay, let's get started. So before in fact we start coding, let's make a quick recap how OAuth2 works. Okay, so there's a blog post here on this site which I really don't know who is. I'm just kidding, it's mine. So in case you don't know my site, please go ahead and take a look. I will leave the description down below. And yeah, there's a lot of content about OAuth2 and API security, so feel free to take a look. So here we're going to use the system-to-system authentication, also known as client credentials flow. So doesn't matter for a while, what we are looking for is this. So how it works, right? What is the OAuth2 dance for the client credentials flow? So we have a client application like a web application or a mobile application, doesn't matter. It makes a request through Authorization server, which we are going to use Auth0 for that, requesting a token with the client ID, client secret. In this case, client secret, because it is client credentials. So whenever this request is genuine, it returns OK 200 with the access token. And then the client can perform requests to resource server with that access token as beer token, passing the authorization header as beer token, beer, and the access token. And our application is the resource server here. Okay, and then we validated the access token and return the response to the client. In case it is not valid, we return like 401 or 401 basically. So to start that, I will use Spring Initializer. We just need to use two dependencies, which is Spring Web to simulate our web API. And also OAuth2 Resource Server, and that's really all. Okay, I will generate that here. Okay, I just imported into IntelliJ, and the next step is to set up the Auth0. Auth0 is an authorization server for OAuth2. There's a lot of other tools for web security in general, so it's pretty cool. Auth0 is part of Okta. Okta is a security solution platform. You can just sign up. There's a free tier, so you can just sign up and start using for free. In my case, I already signed up, and let's do that. Here we go to the applications APIs. APIs here on Auth0, it represents the resource server we are going to use, right? Our application. Again, the resource server is our API, right? So we create an API. I will call it like demo API. The identifier here, it doesn't matter. Normally we use an URL format, but it can be whatever you want. So I will just use my own domain, but again, you don't need even to have the dot something. You can just leave that. It doesn't really matter. It's just just identifier. It's a identifier, right? And unique identifier for the API. This value will be used as the audience parameter on the authorization calls. Cool. The rest you can leave as it is. Let's create that. Okay. So here we have the test tab. This test tab, Auth0 already creates a client application for us to test. This way it generated already an access token, so we don't need to also create a client application, implement that, and request the access token. It's already done from Auth0. Okay, so here again on the not settings but quick start, we can see this example here in C#. I don't know C#, but anyways, yeah, can you see this URL here? So we are going to use that later, but this is basically the Auth0 URL with the prefix which is basically this prefix here. This is your tenant on Auth0, okay? We are going to use that right now. So we come back to our applications. I will just delete this and create, and create an application.yaml and use this property here. This property is part of the Spring OAuth2 Resource Server starter, which asks for the authorization server URI. So in this case, it is this one. One call out here is for the case of Auth0, this trailing slash, it is mandatory. If you don't pass that, it's not gonna work, okay? We can test it later. I will create a controller just to exemplify the authorization, okay? Okay, here we are. So it's just a really simple controller. It's not the main focus of the video. So let's start the application and see what happens. Cool, it seems to work. Let's try our API. 401 unauthorized. Why? As we added this property here, so actually we added the starter, the Spring Boot, Spring Security OAuth2 Resource Server starter. It already locked our API under OAuth2 authorization. So it is already requesting the access token. So let's try that with this test access token. I will just copy this, copy, and here we are going to use beer token, okay? And it works, right? In case I modify the token, for example, just added this on the token. Let's see if it still works. It doesn't work, right? The access token is not valid anymore. So in case we remove that, let me just remove the cookies, no auth. Yeah, it is unauthorized. And cool. So I said something about the trailing slash, right? So let's try that. I will just remove that, okay? And let's try. It seems to work. Let me see. Okay, unauthorized. Oh, unauthorized again. But now we can see in the console there is something problem, right? The issue, blah blah blah, and here it appends the trailing slash, but actually we don't have the trailing slash. Provided the configuration did not match the requested issue. Oh, here, yeah, here it is without. So it is already saying, right? So just add that here and everything's gonna work. Ta-da! Obviously, for the real applications, we are going to set up some configuration. Maybe some routes of our API are public, and others require some roles and so on. So yeah, role-based access control are back. We are going to see in the next videos, but for today's video, that's all. So before we go, let me just go through like Spring Boot OAuth2 Resource Server. And let's take a look on this first link here. You visit frequently. Pretty cool. Here we have some diagrams, workflows, actually kind of sequence diagrams. So we can take a look on it. Basically, what it says that, oh, a client make a GET request or whatever to a protected resource server. It doesn't provide access token. So it comes to this filter security interceptor, which it is deprecated, I guess. Filter security interceptor. Yeah, it's deprecated and it says authorization, use authorization filter instead. Anyways, we can provide a pull request for that, right? So, okay, It tries to, but as soon as we don't have the access token, it will throw. I don't think it's true, but it is. We consider as access denied exception. Yeah, it is true. Access denied exception, and then we will receive a header like www-authenticate, which will tells us what kind of authentication it requests. Like, because otherwise we don't know if it's requesting like basic authentication, bureau authentication, or whatever authentication, right? So let's see our responses here. I will just erase that. No auth. I will erase the cookies, not needed. So I will try once again, and we can see we have for the previous request that worked 11 headers on the response, and now we have 12, which says, oh, www-authenticate bearer. Let's see this info here. It specifies the authentication method that should be used to access a resource. So it is pretty useful, right? And yeah, this other one is just explaining the chain and so on. I don't think it is part of this video, but yeah, in case you can take a look, I will just add this link also in the description. And that's it. And just a call out in case you want to get deeper on OAuth2 and so on. I have an ebook published, so you can take a look on it. Mastering Auth2 authorization flows. It covers the client credentials in details, as we saw. It also includes the authorization code, which is the most common, the one that has the user, and when we act in the behavior of the user, how it works. The authorization code with PXE, which is the correct way to implement, the most secure way to implement authorization code, resource owner credentials, and so on. There's a lot of details here, so I will leave the link down below as well in case you want to get more deeper on OAuth2. So that's all for today's video. I hope you like it as much as I did. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell icon to stay tuned for the upcoming videos, and see you on the next ones. Bye bye.